Welcome to Cosmic Conscious Vibration, unlocking your inner universe with me, Reverend Dr. Kimmie and Dr. Pat. Are you on a personal journey of spiritual self-discovery? We provide practical ways to connect with your higher self to live a more meaningful life while deepening your connection to Source consciousness. Learn the benefits of living a more mindful existence to reclaim your personal power. Join us as we explore insights to a deeper understanding of the nature of consciousness. Learn to listen better to your intuition and your heart's desires, putting you on a path of manifesting the life you are meant to live. The Cosmic Conscious Vibration Show is your catalyst for a consciousness revolution based on universal love and oneness. It all starts now.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. I'm Dr. Pat, and we are ready to kick this off with Reverend Dr. Kimmie. This episode, this is a lesson now, because I got this lesson this week. Personally, I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, right. That's right. That's like, that's the way it was. It was like,
It hit you right when I got the
like,
episode to you.
And it is quantum expansion in the now, manifesting your reality. And I want to start off really quickly by saying we're going to talk about what quantum expansion in the now means. But I want to say this. Whatever you're thinking about that you want, triple it. I want y'all to hear me. Why? Because your mind and your ego, especially if you're somebody that is stuck and has been stuck on, oh, my dreams never come true. I don't know how to, my vision board. No, here's what today's show, quantum is the word. Now let's get into it, because quantum expansion in the now, let's break it down to what it means, because the mind will have us play not to lose as a playing to win. That's right. What the mind will do. So take us through this and why this is hitting a note right now, like a note.
This is one of those things and topics that always fascinated me because I'm a geek. I love science, but I'm also a love spirituality. And when quantum physics started proving us spiritual gurus right, we were like, we already knew that. And so really what it means, like to break that two down, I don't want to get too sciencey or too religious, but the truth of this topic, it's at both the heart of quantum science and the spiritual awakening as a whole. Time is not linear, okay? So we can access infinite possibilities and potentials right now, in the now. And that's truly revolutionary because you're looking at it from a different perspective. You know, your mind, when you think of a thought, anything, you're manifesting right then. So when you are in control of what you're thinking, you are in control and consciously manifesting things, not unconsciously, but consciously. And that's the key word there, because we walk around all the time and we're unconsciously manifesting everything. You know, you may even unconsciously manifest a soda when you're thirsty. And I'm serious about that. I've had that happen, like, I'm thirsty. And then someone hands me a soda. So, you know, there is that truth behind that, where it's like, you really have to take control of how you're thinking about your life and not let your ego or the things that are blocking you stand in your way.
Yeah. And,
here.
Yeah, I want to tell you, the brand that I use for my coaching, it's a brand that I love. I've had it for 20 years. It's called Unstuckable. And you need to be unstuckable in this world. And what that means is you're not stuck on one thing or another, but you understand the spiritual perspective of things. Look, this morning, I didn't even know this was going to happen. This morning, I'm coming into the office, right? Our studio producers, and I decide, I think I'm going to go in early. I had no reason till I get up at like an ungodly hour and like be here like 6 a.m. I really didn't, but I did. Stopped and got my coffee, come in. And so we had a show that aired at 8. And for some strange reason, I just was so tuned into that show. But then I got up from my chair and I walked down to the production room, and our producer wasn't in yet. And I'm like, ooh. So I sit down at the big machine that Miss Emily is at right now. Like, it's got two or three computers. It got 4 monitors. And I find out, oh, producer's not going to make it in time to start the show. But what do? Well, I call Emily too. Emily's very close. There's nobody else for me to call. Jessica was doing another call. She wasn't here either. But how did I know to do that? And I got to tell you, to listen to Emily as she's driving me, try to walk me through, turn on this machine, turn on, and then before I know it, she was there, and then the producer was there. But you see what we're talking about. I didn't go to the perspective of, we're not going to be able to do it. I went to a higher perspective, a quantum perspective,
right,
that didn't have any thought, that just mechanically got me up from my chair and walked down the hall. Now, that's a small thing, but we're talking about that. Last thing I want to say to you, and I need you to really dig into this. I was rejected by a loan company to get a loan. Do you want to know why?
Why?
I
Yeah,
was not asking for enough. I said, what?
that's a good one too.
I said, we
Triple
don't.
it, like you said, triple it.
I said, what do you mean? They said, look, come back to us when you want $500,000, then we'll give it to you. And I said, but listen, so I want you to take this for the rest of the show. I said, but I don't need $1 million. And he said, I don't need $500,000. And you know what he said? Do you want $500,000?
There you go.
So come on, let's walk us through this.
Well,
Rejected by a loan
perfect,
company because I'm not asking for enough
right?
money.
But that's a perfect example of linear thinking. You were like not thinking about what you could do with $1 million. You were
No,
thinking about what I need. And the thing is, the universe will always provide you what you need, regardless. But are you asking, like you said, a triplet? Are you asking for what you're worth? Are you asking for what is your birthright? What really is that? You know, it could be money, it could be any kind of types of abundance of anything, because everything is abundant to us as long as we don't get trapped in linear thinking. If we're constantly worried about what's next or what has happened, we can't tap into that quantum expansion. But when we tap into that quantum expansion, we shift into a state where all possibilities exist. And it's not about attaching yourself. And I've said this before, but don't attach yourself to an outcome. Like you would attach yourself to that. I don't need but this, I'm fine. You know, don't attach yourself to that outcome, because what if that's not how it's supposed to unfold for you? And so when you get into that flow state and you are able to just get into that state of now and knowing what is, everything is at your fingertips, then you can manifest the life of your dreams that way, because you're not putting tags on it. You're not saying I need it this way or that way. You're not giving limitations to what you're coming up
yeah.
with.
And so let's talk about it from a spiritual perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Spiritual perspective. Look at, I was listening to somebody, my favorite preacher guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to him. He's telling these stories, and he's like, the punchline's like, okay, spirit is not going to show up and give you what you can get on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And so the spiritual perspective, and then related to how that has blended now in to transpersonal coaching and quantum theory, is what's bringing us to have this conversation right now.
Right, exactly. Because we all have to remember we're co-creating with the universe every single moment, every minute of the day, be it a thought, be it an action that's connected to that thought. You are co-creating with the universe. So when we align with the now, with the current moment, we're able to step out of the constraints of linear time. We're able to uncap our potential and take those limits and things off and become fully present. When you're becoming fully present, we're able to access those higher states of awareness. That's where your intuition kicks in. Like this morning when you're like, I just got to walk down there. That's where your intuition kicked in. That's why you were in that higher state right then. It sounds small, but every little small thing adds up to unlimited possibilities.
But that's what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, you can go back to 20 years when I first started this and interviewing Ram Dass. And Ram Dass,
Mm-hmm.
he was the guy, be here now, right? Power Now came later, but Ram was all about this. And, to understand what that means and the power of being, see, you know what it really is? It's the power of being open.
Yes.
If we just get rid of the word now,
mm-hmm.
and we just say the power of being open, what am I talking about?
That's where the coaching comes in. Like when I'm coaching people on this, it's literally about breaking those patterns. You're stuck in patterns, and you can't be open if you're stuck in the past. You can't be open if you're worried about the future. You can't be open if you're not living your life right then. So when you're coaching, you need to stop those stories. We all tell ourselves stories. Well, I can't do this because XYZ. Well, that's going to happen because this happened. Or all of that is conditioning. All of that is things that we have been taught from, whether it be from a relationship that you've got some program from, or parents, any of that. You've got those imprints, and you have to break them. Once you break them and you do your mindfulness work and you get down to the nitty gritty of who you are, you will be connected to your higher self, because your higher self ain't nothing but you trying to tell you how to get what you need.
That's right. And, don't be surprised by what's going to show up. This is sad.
Oh.
What's happening right now with the hurricane in Miami.
Oh my gosh.
My family went through Andrew down there. My heart goes out to all you all. One
and
of
the
our
Appalachian Mountains before that.
Oh my God. I want to say this. This is interesting thought. I want you to comment on this. One of our hosts, one of the people we work with, she is phenomenal in the addiction recovery world. She's going to a major conference. When? Now. And where? Disney.
Oh.
And when the opportunity came up, I couldn't figure out why I wasn't drawn to go. See, we were going to send a whole team, spend a lot of money, and I couldn't explain it. I honestly couldn't explain it. And I just stopped trying. And I made a decision and said, we're not going to go this year. We're not going to go. I would have found myself in Florida with a couple of my people on a conference that probably wasn't going to happen because they are cleaning people out of those places. And I know what it was like to go through Andrew with my mom, Hurricane Andrew, and what that devastated.
Yes.
And I want to take a moment and say to people, our hearts go out to you.
Completely.
You could not predict this.
No.
But please be safe.
Yes.
Please be taking care of yourselves. Please find shelter, because you can rebuild things. You can't rebuild or bring back your aliveness if you're not here.
No, you cannot. You can't rebuild you can rebuild, but not your personhood.
Not your person.
And I've seen some stories, and I don't want to go into that too much, but make sure you're listening to your instincts in these situations. I don't care if, and this is probably, I don't care if your employer wants you to sit there till the doors close. You get out.
Yep.
You get out. I'm saying this right now. You get out. I've seen too many stories, and that breaks my heart, because we are a human collective. Yep. No matter what race, nationality, I don't care. We are a human collective. So when, and that knowing, that inner knowing, that means you need to get somewhere, listen to your gut. These are the times where you have to listen to your gut.
Yeah. And let's talk about it from a spiritual and a coaching perspective, because, you and I are here talking about this because we have been coached by others.
Yeah.
And now we
find out things the hard way too.
Well, but that's why you coach people the way you coach them, because you understand the importance of not trying to do things alone.
Yes. I am known for being hard-headed, and sometimes that can kick you in the butt. You have to know that not only does spirit have your back, You need to have your own back, but other people will always have your back. You just need to give them the opportunity sometimes. And a lot of times we think we can do things on our own. And quite frankly, that is a matter of control more than anything. You want to be able to control every little thing, and you can't do that.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about this from a perspective of spiritual awareness and what happens inside of us. We don't talk about what happens inside of us. You know, I was listening to a show this morning, and they talked about fear. They talked about fear and what it is. And we're not being our fear, but we have to be aware of what's going on inside of us. Can you talk about that? Because 9 times out of 10, I have to be reflected in front of my coaches for my coaches to help bring what's really going on inside you, Pat. What's really going on inside you. But that's got to be the place you start. The significance of awareness has got to be the place.
Yes. If you're not able to do the work and be aware of what your feelings are, what your emotions are, how your body reacts to those emotions, how your intuition kicks in, then you're really walking around stumbling in the dark. And
go ahead.
Go ahead. You're stumbling in the dark. And with that being said, it's just a matter of listening and taking the time to listen to yourself. And you can't do that by fighting yourself. A lot of times we're fighting with our own demons, and that fear doesn't always come from external forces. It comes from inside. Our ego feeds into fear. And then we might see something else that we've manifested to come to us, to just all it does is co-sign that fear that we just said we had. So it's a matter of letting go of fear, because fear is not anything to be afraid of. There are things you need to be aware of, like you said, like if there's a threat to your life, be aware of that. But a lot of the fears that we end up coping with are non-starters. They're not even a fear. They're just some thought you have that you're telling yourself those stories again.
Yeah. And, you know, let's talk about this, because I know you do this in your coaching practice. But before we do that, first of all, let's stop for a minute. How do people find out about you, Reverend Dr. Kimmie? Let's just make sure people know how to connect with you, because this is going to be an ongoing conversation, and this is a portal for them to be able to get some help from you.
Well, one way people can find me is my website. You can learn all about all my services there. I do offer one-on-one sessions where we dive deep into understanding your soul language, unlocking your potential, just getting you in alignment. Really, that's my true purpose. And that is at reverendrkimmie.com or REVDRKIMMIE.com. If you want more of me just being me, that's my TikTok. It goes all over the place, but I try to be authentic in everything that I do. So those are the places that I'm normally at that you can find me.
Look, let's talk about fear, but let's make a transition to fear, what it means, how to understand it, but how it's related to mindfulness and what that does. I have grown up on science fiction. I've grown up on horror films. Okay. And there are some that I don't watch. I mean, I'm not into the slasher movies. That's too close to home. But anything about The Walking Dead, I will watch.
Yes, me too.
I say that. I'm probably going to get a million emails now. And
I love zombie movies.
People are like, why are you watching that? I said, well, first of all, let me comment about The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead, the entire series, AMC's Walking Dead, whatever version. First of all, give me Michonne anytime. But why is that so important? It's not about the zombies. It's about human behavior.
Yes.
And so it's so cool. But you get so attached. I hadn't watched Fear of the Walking Dead, and I watched it. And I just found myself so emotionally engaged. And I want to ask you about this, because we get hooked on drama in life. And we get emotionally engaged in things that are not in our hula hoop.
No.
See, if it ain't in my hula hoop, you all know what a hula hoop is. Put that thing on. If it's not in there, it doesn't belong to you. But please talk about how we can ground ourselves, even if you do watch The Walk, how you can ground yourself so that you can be open to infinite possibilities. And I got to tell you, I found two of the most incredible things to enhance our network from watching that series. But it's got to be a way that you can ground yourself and separate what's real from what's not.
Right. There are a couple of little practices. One that I would like to bring up is a vibrational check-in, if you will. That's something you can do throughout the day. And you just stop and ask yourself how you're feeling. What am I thinking about right now? Because you can be having thoughts and not necessarily know consciously what you're thinking about. You have to remember that. That's how we can unconsciously manifest all day. And we want to get that to a conscious manifestation. So you just check in with yourself. And if your thoughts are focused on fear or lack, now we didn't bring up lack, but lack is also one of those things that
lack will break your back.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. But lack
will break your back.
That you need to coin that one right there. But
Dr. Pat, Emily, Dr. Pat's saying it. Yep. Lack will break your back. How do I know? Lack has broken my back at different points in time in my life.
And we all have a little bit, even when you don't think you do.
That's right.
When it just is be hiding back there. But that walks hand in hand with fear, because when you are living in lack and not understanding, you are focused on the wrong things. You're focused on what you do not have, and you're not focused on what you already have. That's also where gratitude comes in there. So gratitude practices are key to really beating down fear's door and saying, no, we ain't having that. And with lack, because when you are grateful for what you have, be it a cat, your computer, the fact that you have sight, you can breathe, any little thing is grateful. You are grateful because you are in your body living your best life, right? So when you're not thinking about that and not being grateful, that's when that lack starts to seep in, where, oh, I don't have what they have. Oh, I don't have what so-and-so has. And fears, where it's like, oh gosh, what if this happens, and what if that happens, and a lot of what if, right? That's the kind of stuff where it just stops you in your tracks. It stops all good manifestation in its tracks right there. So this is what I consider intentional awareness, right? You want to pay attention to your thoughts, do those check-ins with yourself, see where you're vibing at, just like you would see what someone, oh, what's their vibe? You want to know what your vibe is, right? So you got to make sure you're vibing high and correct, and you know what you're vibing to. That's what those check-ins for, and that's what that intentional awareness is about. Because when you start paying attention to what's going on inside, you're starting to pay attention to the present moment. And then basically you're choosing consciously to align with your highest vibration. I hope
that Let's bring it home though.
Yeah.
Now, if we had more time,
I
would do my rap song about lack. We have to say, we'll say that. Totally have a rap song about lack. I'm from the Bronx. All of us know how to rap. Come on. Right. But let's just bring it home, because I think it's important for people to understand, why are we talking to you about this today? Because we want the best for you. That's what you're doing.
Yeah. And right now,
yep,
the way that things are going right now, it is more important than ever to sit in your gratitude. That's a key practice, and it's a good thing to do. It's a mindfulness practice, but it's really more than that. It's not about just mindlessly saying, oh, I'm, thankful for stuff. It's really about feeling it on a deeper level. Feel it. And when you have that vibrational tool under your belt, where you're actually feeling grateful, starting to live in the now, shutting down all those conversations in your head that do not have anything to do with your highest good, you're going to be matching that frequency of abundance just by doing those things. Because you are telling the universe, hey, I'm good. I'm ready. I'm here to receive. What else you got for me? Right? As opposed to, what else do I not have?
Yeah, I love this. I was so longing for salmon. I live in the Pacific Northwest, and the price of salmon, really good salmon, was through the roof. My buddy Doug hooked up with, as every year he does, with the Alaskan fisher people. And yesterday he brings me a case of salmon fillets.
Ooh, I love it.
Oh my goodness. Now they're frozen on the boat. You see, how do you manifest? Well, you hold the space for it to show up. You got to ask, you got to believe, and then you'll receive.
Remember, you're a powerful creator. And every day, and I cannot stress this enough, you are co-creating with the universe. The universe will always have your back. Your spirit guides will always have your back. And do not forget that you're walking with your ancestors, because you are your ancestors. Okay. So all of those people have your back. So have your own back, just have your own back.
Lack ain't going to take my back.
Right. And it will break your back.
And it will break our back. But what we have to do is we have to take back your life, take back your abundance, take back your mindset. Thank you so much. Take back your power. What's your closing message for today?
Well, I want everyone to remember, like I was saying, we're powerful creators, and the universe will always respond to your vibration. And when you chose to live in alignment with love, joy, and abundance, that's exactly what the universe is going to give you.
I love it. How do we find out more about you? Tell people about your practice. And also, you have another show you do. Come on, tell everybody about that.
The fourth Wednesday of every month, I have a show on Transformation Talk Radio that is called The Spiritual Tea with me, Reverend Dr. Kimmie. So you can always find me there. That gets really into deep stuff. The next one we're going to do all about chakras. So we're going to dig into that. Other than that, you can find me on my website. All my services are there. That's REVDRKIMMIE.com. And LinkedIn, TikTok, I'm all over the place.
I love it. And for those of you out there, remember this: do not let lack break your back. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to Cosmic Conscious Vibration, unlocking your inner universe. I'm Dr. Kimmie, and along with Dr. Pat, we have been discussing the nature of consciousness for ways to deepen your connection to Source. Join us on the second Tuesday of each month at 11 a.m. Pacific Time on Transformation Talk Radio, as we provide the information to assist you on your personal spiritual journey. You play an important role in the interconnectedness of all things. For more information on the benefits of living a more mindful existence, please visit www.REVDRKIMMIE.com. That's ReverendDrKimmie.com.